Hello, I'm Chez. I am 31 years old. I'm from Venezuela. I'm here in Portugal since 3 years ago, maybe. Yeah, basically the photography was always around in my house, always in the birthdays, on the trips. There was always a camera around, but I started to develop interest on photography started when I started to study advertising back in the college days. I have a professor of photography, so we're starting to work on the darkroom. I started to develop interest on this manual process. It was very interesting for me just to see the result at the end. And it was very, very satisfying to see all the captures and all the frames that you got on the beginning and in the full frame, just in the photo. I'm living now in Olivais, which is located in Lisbon. And I really like to shoot here, always in the nature areas. I really like this of this city. Like, you have plenty green areas to shoot. There's always something happening, and you have many landscapes to shoot. And that's a really cool thing to shoot. I'm really interested to capture the people, the street photography. It's a really cool thing for me to shoot. I remember in my college days, just asked a camera for a friend to take photos. We just went out to the street and took photos back in Caracas. And well, I really liked the result. I remember it was a black and white roll, and it was a pretty sharp image that I got from that roll. And that was my first roll. I really liked it. And then I started to develop interest to keep shooting on film photography. Just went out to the streets, to the subway, to the streets near to my house, just capturing the reaction of the people, the animals, the landscapes. It was really interesting for me. Then I moved here to Lisbon, in Olivais specifically. And I started to walk around the areas, and I found that this city has really cool places to shoot, especially nature and landscapes. I really enjoy to walk around the river, the Tejo River. We have plenty areas to shoot, and I found a pretty interesting scenes with the people that just making their life, and we have the power to capture any kind of feelings and emotions on one photo. That's, for me, it's a powerful weapon that you have on the camera. No matter what camera you have a focus, you have an eye to communicate something to the people, and that's a powerful weapon that you can use for communicate whatever you want. And then I started to develop interest in street photography. I just took my camera and just went out to the street and took whatever I just found in the streets. Dogs, people, cars, landscapes, nature. Whatever I found in the street, it was perfect for me, because I started to discover the streets and the city in another way. And the most particular thing that's if you don't have the result instantly, so you have to wait to develop, to digitalize the photo, to see the result. And that's the magic part of the field photography for me, because you put more intention on the photo, you spend more time to thinking about the frame and about the result that you're going to get at the end. And the result is just a surprise. It's like a gift for you. You took the photo, you think that you're going to take a good frame, and then you have the surprise, you have the gift of the final product, the final result. For me, that's priceless. Okay, then when I finished the college, I started to work in digital agency as a creative copywriter, and that was a very cool experience for me because I have the chance to get involved in creative process and production, pre-production, post-production, to filming commercials, creating digital campaigns, and that was a really good experience to learn. And I knew amazing people that taught me a lot of knowledge that I put in practice now. So that was one of my first experience back in Venezuela, working as a creative. And then I just quit and started to work in the political party in the communication area. And it was a challenge, a totally challenge for me because I didn't have experience at all on that area. But there was difficult days back in my country, so I assumed that as a challenge just to gain more experience on that area. So I started to cover the protests in Venezuela, and it was not so creative job, but I learned a lot because we have the rush on the streets to take that image or to take that frame with all the things happening around. You have the danger of the police, you have the people on the protests. So it was a lot of things happening there, but you learn a lot of that. I knew beautiful stories of people. Besides of that, many times I had to run for my life because it was a difficult moments back in those days, but it taught me a lot. So it was a really powerful experience for me. Then I moved here in Portugal. I started to study in a photography course in Atelier de Lisboa, just to see the basics on photography. And now I'm studying graphic design because I just liked all the visuals areas that you can get involved, and I think it's pretty cool when you mix the photography with typography, with visuals, with animations. So I really start to develop this interest to mix all this area and see this is a really cool result. Okay, on the other side, one of my biggest inspirations, I think, are my errors, because they push to improve things, to take risk and get better on the process. I think that's very important for the creative, because sometimes we get stuck on the process. So you need to go wrong, to make mistakes, to advance and discover a new experience. For me, that's a very meaningful part of the process. And besides of that, I have a lot of influence on the graphic reporters. I really like the meaning of the photography to communicate something for the people, for the society. That work in Venezuela taught me a lot of the job that you have as a photographer, because it's a responsibility to communicate something to the people, and it's part of the history. You're recording, or you are taking part of the history to communicate something, and maybe that can change the things better. So for me, that's pretty important. When you go out with the camera, it's cool, just take a picture of you, take selfies, but I think it's also important to make something for the society, or to change or to get better your environment. I really like the work of the graphic reporters. One of my biggest inspirations, it was a collective back in the early 90s. It called the Bang Bang Club. And it was a collective of 4 photographers. I just went to South Africa just to shoot all the situation what's happening there. It was the end of the apartheid. They just went to all the areas to shoot and record the protests of the people protesting against all the things that was happening there. And I think it was very powerful, the work that they just did that, because they record part of the history, and they just thought to the people that the photography has a meaning, as it's not just a common artifact or a common product to take. So for me, it's very meaningful to do something about photography and just be the eyes for people, be the voice for the people, just caption their needs, their voices, their yeah. That's for me. That's very important, and I try to do that when I go out with my camera. Just try to catch the things that there is not so obvious for the people. For me, it's very important. That's why I enjoy particularly the film photography, because you need to put more intention on the frames, on the angles. You have to work on the exposure or maybe on the distance. So it's not so fast. It's not so easy, and that's for me. It has a really powerful meaning. Okay, so my equipment. I used to shoot with the Canon A1 in 35 millimeters, and I just recently got a point and shoot, a Minolta, which is really cool for taking for trips, or it's more portable. So I think it's really cool. The result is pretty decent as well. Usually I like to shoot in the Portra 400. I think it's a pretty versatile film roll. And the Hector 100, I think it's a good one as well on the contrast. You can have pretty sharp image on that. And the Kodak Gold 200, it's a good one as well, especially on the rectans. It's a pretty nice result. It's actually worked and the sunny lights and on the shadows as well. And I personally use it on the beach days just to go and grab the camera. I think you can get a pretty decent results on the daylight. I used to look for inspirations in books, in video clips. I really like to look on inspirations, especially on music. I think that's a really good side to get new influences. Also, I don't know, all the things that that have visual things, for me it's pretty inspirational. I inspires about visuals for video clips. I remember since I was kid just seeing the video clip, and that motivated to create more content on that. And yeah, I'm used to look for always for artists as well. I really like a photographer, a Colombian photographer called Moreno Blanco. He used to work on the streets, like yeah, street photography. He works with the people, like works on the streets. He captures the story behind the people, and that for me it's very important. I also like yeah, to look the inspiration on digital platforms like Instagram, Behance, Pinterest. For me it's kind of cool, but I'm trying to make a detox now, because I think it's to get more addicting. So I'm back into the analog thing. So I'm trying to get more inspirations on books, on fanzines, on more things that not so digital. I know we're living in a digital world, but I'm trying to just put it as in a side, because I just trying to get another kind of things now. Okay, my plans with photography. I think now it's expanding now more a little bit. So I'm thinking more to get involved of all the creative area. Since I'm starting to study graphic design, because I really like the result of the typography mixed with the photography. I already started to work on the project. It's called Summer Vibes. I tried to mix the typography with a series of photos I took on the summer, so that reflects the reactions of the people just going out to the streets after the confinement. I tried to catch that and just put the message and all the things I have I got on that moment when I catching the image. So yeah, for me, I think for the future, I just want to know more stories about persons, know more experience, and try to improve my own style. I'm working on that as well, and try to not to get stuck on that, on photography, on design. Try to get knowing more stuff about all the creative area, all visuals areas. I think it's pretty important to get involved as well on people that teach something new for us. So for me, that's basically that. I wish to make some work on paper as well. I'm thinking to work on the magazine or maybe on the fanzine, and yeah, basically that. So my main goal on photography, it's keep learning, keep failing, because I think that's an important part of the photography, to keep improving, and just keep knowing person that teach me something. I think that's pretty important on the creative side, to try to learn about other person and teach other person as well. It's the part of the process. So I think it's very important to share the content, the knowledge with other person, and just enjoy the process.